Awaken Light Audio. Awaken your mind, ignite your light.
Trust in your prayer. How faith unlocks miracles in your life. What if the reason your prayers feel unanswered is not because no one's listening, but because you've forgotten how to trust? What if the miracle you've been waiting for has already begun, but it's hidden beneath your impatience? What if your faith isn't about the outcome, but about who you become in the waiting? These are not just questions, they're doors. Doors that open to a deeper truth, that trusting in your prayer, in your voice, your connection, your soul's whisper, is one of the most powerful acts you can choose. In a world addicted to instant answers and external validation, learning to trust in something unseen, something sacred, isn't just countercultural, it's revolutionary. This journey is not about blind belief, it's about anchored faith, the kind that whispers, even when I can't see it, I know it's coming. The kind that plants seeds in silence, waters them with patience, and grows them with gratitude. So today, we're going to walk that path, together, through uncertainty, through silence, through surrender. Welcome to this sacred unfolding. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Trusting Your Prayer. When you truly trust your prayer, your life begins to align with the miracle before it even arrives. There's a moment, just after you whisper your prayer, when the world doesn't change, but something in you does. You exhale, you let go, and even though nothing has shifted around you, somehow everything inside you has. But here's the question: do you actually trust what you just prayed for? Because most people don't. They ask, then worry. They speak, then stress. They send it up, then spiral down. They treat prayer like a message in a bottle, cast into the sea of uncertainty and hope, maybe. Someone finds it someday, but that's not faith. That's fear wearing spiritual clothing. True faith doesn't just speak, it rests. It moves differently. It shifts your posture, your decisions, your energy. Because when you truly trust your prayer, you don't chase, you don't force, you don't panic, you plant, you water, you align. You start showing up like what you asked for is already making its way to you. Not because you're delusional, but because your spirit recognizes what your eyes can't see yet. Trust isn't passive. It's powerful. It's not wait and do nothing. It's move with faith before it's visible. It's act like you've been heard, because you have. Every great transformation begins here, in a quiet moment between your request and your belief. And in that gap, your life begins to shift. The first practice today: embody the answer, today. Take one thing you've prayed for, just one, and ask yourself, if I truly believed this was already on the way, how would I think today? How would I speak? What energy would I move in? Then practice that, even just for today. Walk like it's done. Breathe like it's coming. Rest like the answer is unfolding, because it is. Remind yourself, I don't pray with doubt. I don't wait with fear. I trust my prayer, because the moment I release it, something begins to move in my favor. Chapter 2. Faith is not a transaction. It's a transformation. You don't pray to make God move, you pray so your soul can. We've been taught, sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, that if we pray the right way, live the right way, speak the right words, then we'll get what we want. As if God were a vending machine: insert virtue, select blessing, wait for delivery. But what if that's not how this works? What if prayer was never about convincing heaven to act, but about aligning your life to receive? Faith is not a business deal. It's not, if I do this, then you owe me that. It's not performance. It's not manipulation. It's not control. Dressed up in spiritual language, faith is surrender. It's trust without demand. It's devotion without outcome. Guaranteed, because real transformation happens inside you, not in what you're given, but in how you're changed by believing. You pray for strength, and you become patient. You pray for clarity, and you begin letting go of noise. You pray for healing, and you start seeing where you need to forgive. See it. The answer doesn't just come to you. It starts coming through you. Faith doesn't force. Faith forms, and the longer you walk in it, the less you ask, when will it come? And the more you ask, what is this moment shaping in me? Because maybe the blessing isn't the thing. Maybe the blessing is the becoming. The second practice, shift the question. Today, take something you've been praying for, and instead of asking, why hasn't it happened yet, ask, who am I becoming? While I wait, what parts of me are being refined in this silence? Write that down. Then breathe into it. Feel the shift from outcome to identity. That's the transformation. Talk to yourself. I don't pray to get something. I pray to become someone. Every unanswered moment is not rejection. It's redirection. It's refinement. It's revelation. Chapter 3. The waiting is not a wasteland. What feels like delay might be divine development. There's a season in every journey when things seem still unmoving, silent. You've prayed, you've hoped, you've shown up, but nothing seems to happen. This is the season most people abandon the path, not because they stopped believing in God, but because they stopped believing He was still working when things weren't moving. But here's the truth. Stillness is not stagnation. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not wasted. In nature, the seed that grows the strongest roots spends the most time in the dark. No fanfare, no movement, no applause, but underneath, everything is being formed. You may feel stuck. You may feel forgotten. You may wonder if your voice got lost in the divine. Static. But the waiting is where you're being prepared, not punished. It's the gym of the soul, where trust gets stronger, where patience gets deeper, where your identity becomes more than what you're waiting for. You're not being delayed. You're being developed, because if you received what you asked for before you were ready, you wouldn't be able to carry it. It might crush you. It might expose you. It might expose you. It might destroy the very faith you're trying to build. So God, in His mercy, withholds what would break you until you become the version of you that can sustain it. The third practice, redefine the waiting. Think of a moment in your past one. You thought something was being denied to you, but later you realized it was actually a divine delay. Now ask yourself, what if that's what's happening again right now? Write this affirmation. I'm not behind. I'm not forgotten. I'm being prepared. Let it ground you. Let it soften the anxiety. Let it bring peace into your pause. Tell yourself, I don't fear the waiting, because I know what looks like delay is often the exact moment my roots are going deeper. Chapter 4. Silent answers. When heaven speaks without sound, just because you don't hear it doesn't mean nothing is being said. You've asked, you've waited, and now there's silence. No voice, no sign, just the sound of your own breath, echoing in a space that used to feel divine. And in that silence, the questions creep in. Did I do something wrong? Has God gone quiet on me? Am I praying into a void? But what if silence isn't the absence of God? What if it's His invitation? We often expect answers to arrive like thunder. Loud, clear, immediate. But heaven often whispers. Not to confuse you, but to draw you closer. Because silence makes you lean in. It tunes your inner ear. It purifies your intent. When the noise fades, you begin to notice what you had ignored. A deep peace that wasn't there before. A quiet confidence in your next step. A soft nudge that feels more like knowing than hearing. The answer may not always be audible, but it is always active. You see, God doesn't always shout. Sometimes He waits for your spirit to quiet, so He can move through intuition, not interruption. And often, the greatest revelations are not shouted from mountaintops. They're birthed in stillness. You don't need lightning to confirm your prayer is working. You don't need voices in the sky. You just need to notice. The courage that wasn't there last week. The peace that makes no sense. The idea that came out of nowhere. the relationship that shifted gently. These are your answers: silent, precise, divine. The next practice: listen beyond sound today. Don't force clarity, don't demand answers. Instead, sit in silence. Set a timer for 5 minutes. No music, no movement, no goal. Just breathe and become aware. Ask gently in your heart, what are you showing me? Not through words, but through presence. Write down any feeling, memory, or inner sense that rises. That's where the conversation has always been. Remember, God doesn't always speak through volume. Sometimes He speaks through stillness, and I am learning to listen with more than my ears. Chapter 5. Surrendering control, not responsibility. Letting go doesn't mean you stop moving, it means you stop forcing. There comes a moment on the journey of faith when your hands must open, not in defeat, but in trust. You've done what you can, you've prayed, you've acted, you've believed, but deep down, you still feel the urge to control how and when. The answer arrives, you begin to tighten your grip. Force. Timing. Push outcomes. Stress over details you can't touch, and in doing so, you shift from faith to fear disguised as effort. But here's the sacred truth. Control is not the same as responsibility. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means knowing the difference between your role and God's role. Responsibility is showing up. Control is trying to micromanage miracles. Responsibility is faith in motion. Control is anxiety in disguise. When you surrender control, you are not stepping back, you are stepping aside, making space for divine alignment to do what your striving cannot. It is not lazy, it is not passive, it is not passive, it is wise. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He waters, he protects, he prepares the soil, but he does not dig up the seed every day to check if it's growing. Why? Because he trusts the process. He knows his part and knows when to release the rest to nature, to God. Surrender is sacred strategy. It says, I trust what I cannot yet see. I will stay faithful in what I can control and let go of what I cannot. I choose peace over pressure. And in that, you move from striving to serenity, from forcing to flowing, from fear to faith. One more practice. Releasing the grip. Write down what you're holding on to too tightly. A result, a person, a timeline. Now ask, have I done my part? Am I now trying to control what's not mine? Then speak this aloud. I release what is not mine to hold. I stay responsible for what's mine to grow, and I trust that what's meant for me is already in motion. I don't surrender to give up. I surrender to line up with a plan that's higher, a purpose that's deeper, and a peace that surpasses all understanding. Chapter 6. Gratitude before the breakthrough. Faith says thank you before the answer comes. Most people wait to celebrate, wait to give thanks, wait to smile until the breakthrough arrives. But gratitude shifts everything, not after the blessing but before it. Because real faith doesn't say, I'll believe it when I see it. Real faith says, I believe it, therefore I live like it's already on the way. And that belief births gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a reaction, it's a declaration. A spiritual announcement to the universe. I trust you. I trust your timing. I trust the unseen. When you're grateful in the gap between the prayer and the answer, you become magnetic. You move in alignment with abundance. You start to see beauty in what others call delay. Why? Because you've stopped waiting in lack and started living in expectation. Thankfulness transforms the atmosphere. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you treat others, even how you see challenges. Because when you live from gratitude, every moment becomes enough, and every day becomes a doorway. You don't wait to feel thankful. You choose to be thankful, because faith is the feeling. even before the job comes, even before the healing arrives, even before the door opens. Gratitude is not based on proof, it's based on trust, practice. Pre-celebrate the unseen today. Take 5 minutes to write a thank you list, not for what's already happened, but for what you believe is on the way. Start every sentence with, "Thank you for," even if you're not sure yet, even if it hasn't arrived, even if it sounds bold, because that's what faith sounds like. Remind yourself, I don't wait for the miracle to be thankful. I thank you now, because I trust you now, and that trust is enough. Chapter 7. Faith in the face of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's obedience in its presence. You can believe in miracles and still tremble. You can trust the path and still feel unsure. You can pray with passion and still wonder. If your voice made it past the ceiling, this doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But here's what separates those who crumble from those who rise. They move forward. Even while shaking, faith is not pretending. Fear doesn't exist. It's standing in the fire with your knees trembling and whispering, "Even this won't stop me." You see, fear isn't your enemy. Surrendering to it is, because the enemy doesn't need to destroy your dream. He just needs to make you too afraid to try, to paralyze you with the unknown, to convince you that what hasn't happened yet never will. But faith isn't blind. It sees the storm and walks anyway. Courage is faith in action. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is take one small step when everything in you says freeze. That call you've been afraid to make, that boundary you've been afraid to set, that truth you've been afraid to speak. Faith says, this fear is loud, but it doesn't lead me. Even the giants in Scripture shook at the edge of their calling. Moses stuttered. Esther hesitated. David trembled. But they went. They showed up. They believed. In spite of fear, you can too. Another practice, act through the fear. Write down the one thing fear has stopped you from doing now. Ask, if I were completely free, what small action would I take today? Then take that step, even if it's imperfect, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands sweat, take it, because every step through fear is a step into freedom. Talk to yourself. I don't need to be fearless, I just need to be faithful. And today, even afraid, I move.
Chapter 8. Praying for alignment, not just outcomes. Prayer isn't just about what you want, it's about who you're becoming. Most people pray like this: God, give me, fix this, change them, open that door. And it's okay to ask, it's okay to want. Even Jesus asked. But if we're not careful, we turn prayer into a spiritual wish list instead of a sacred alignment. What if prayer wasn't about bending the universe to your desires, but about bending your heart to the truth? What if the most powerful prayer you could ever speak was this: God, don't just change my situation, change me. Because here's the truth, some of the things you're asking for would hurt you if they came too soon. Some doors you're knocking are not locked to punish you, they're locked to protect you. And some delays aren't denials, they're invitations to grow into what you asked for. Alignment means trust. It means saying, even if I don't get what I want, I trust that you are still good. It means shifting the question from, what do I need to happen, to who do I need to become? Because when your life lines up with divine purpose, miracles flow naturally. You don't have to chase them, you just have to match their frequency. You don't need more force, you need more flow, and prayer is what gets you there. The next practice, rewrite your prayer. Take one thing you've been asking for. Now reframe your prayer like this: instead of just giving me, shape me into the person who can carry it with grace, steward it with wisdom, and remain whole even if it never comes. That's alignment. That's power. Remind yourself, I don't pray to manipulate outcomes. I pray to align with truth, because when my heart is right, miracles don't have to be forced. They find me.
Chapter 9. Keep knocking, the discipline of daily belief. Faith isn't proven by passion, it's proven by persistence. Some days belief feels like fire, you're a lit up dot, energized, overflowing with trust. Other days, you feel nothing. You doubt. You want to quit? And the silence makes your hope feel foolish. But what if those days, the boring, dry, weary days, are where faith is truly forged? Anyone can believe for a moment. Anyone can shout hallelujah when things go right. But true believers, they knock on heaven's door again and again, not because they feel something, but because they decided something. They decided that faith is not based on mood, it's based on conviction. It's not emotional hype, it's spiritual muscle. Jesus said, ask, seek, knock. Not once, but continually, with persistence, with resilience, with a heart that says, even if I don't see results today, I will show up anyway. Because every time you knock, you build trust, character, spiritual discipline, and God sees it. Even when you feel invisible, even when nothing seems to move, even when your prayers sound like echoes in a hallway of silence. Faith is not once and done. It's daily. It's choosing, again and again, to believe without evidence, to show up without applause, to keep going without certainty. And that discipline, it transforms you. One more practice, keep the appointment. Choose a specific time every day. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can to meet God in quiet. No matter how you feel, no requests, no performance, just presence. Write this somewhere visible, even if nothing changes. I will still knock because I am becoming someone who never stops showing up. And then keep knocking. Talk to yourself, I don't need to feel it to stay faithful. I knock because I believe, and every knock makes me stronger. Chapter 10. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. Sometimes God doesn't change your situation. You've prayed, you've waited, you've surrendered, you've knocked and kept. Knocking. But what if the breakthrough wasn't something coming to you, but something awakening within you? What if you are the miracle? So many people spend their lives waiting for signs, for sudden changes, for external breakthroughs. But the truth is, God often answers prayers. By transforming the person praying, you thought you were asking for a new door, but He was building a new you. You thought you needed rescue, but He was raising up a warrior. You thought the miracle was out there, but it was being born in here. You became stronger, you became wiser, you learned how to surrender, to trust, to wait, to move forward anyway. And without realizing it, you've already been part of the miracle in motion, because the truest sign that God heard your prayer is not the thing that arrives. It's the person you've become while waiting for it. Sometimes God doesn't send the miracle, He makes you become the miracle for someone else. You are the hope someone else needs to witness. You are the light in someone else's darkness. You are the answered prayer that walks into the room, so no, you weren't forgotten. You were being forged. And what's emerging is divine. The last practice, own your becoming. Take time today to reflect on who you are now, compared to who you were before this journey began. Write a letter to your past self. Start with, you thought you were broken, but you were being built. You thought it was over, but it was just beginning. You were always the miracle in motion. Read it back to yourself with compassion and say, I honor the path, I honor the pain, I honor the process, because it made me, me. I am no longer waiting for something outside to complete me. I trust in my prayer, I trust in my process, and most of all, I trust in the miracle of who I've become.
Thank you for spending this moment with Awaken Light Audio. If something today touched your heart or opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What spoke to you most? Tell us about your journey, your questions. Send it their way, because light grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay present, stay awakened, and keep becoming who you're meant to be.